Hello, and welcome to this thought for the day. We've just come back from a short holiday in Morocco, and it was a fascinating and interesting place to go to. And one activity we did was we had a guided tour through a food market. So there were all sorts of stands offering all sorts of different foods, and we had a guide who would talk about the different foods and let us sample little bits of interesting things that I would have never tried, probably, or dared to try without somebody recommending it. And so we had some sheep's head, which was very interesting. I tried some snails for the first time, and they were actually really good. We had some delicious fruit smoothies, some soup, some tea, olives, dates, anything you could get. And in the end, we had a nice meal, although we were quite full already. I'm always for trying things. I mean, within reason. You don't want to sort of poison yourself or harm yourself by eating something that is dangerous. But trying out things is a good thing, isn't it? Because you don't know how things are unless you've tried them, and that's true for food, but for many other things in life. I think it's true also for faith. Some people have got very fixed ideas about why believing in God doesn't make sense, but they've never tried it out. They've never sort of exposed themselves to an experience. And I think you need to try that out too before you know it's working for you or it isn't. But that's by the by. What I really wanted to talk to you about was the tour guide we had. It was really fantastic. He knew his hometown, and he had a passion for the food and for the culture. So he talked about every aspect of life in Morocco, and that included his faith. He quite sort of openly talked about what he believed in, the 5 pillars of Islam, how it shaped his life, and it obviously seemed to be an important part of his life. And I found this quite remarkable. I think if we had booked a similar tour in Manchester or in London or in Berlin or Rome, I don't think people would have talked about their faith as part of a tour for tourists. And it made me wonder, why as Christians, why don't we do that? Why don't we talk about our faith? Is it because we think our faith isn't really worth talking about? Do we think it's not relevant or not interesting for other people? Or is it that we regard our faith as an entirely private affair that really is of nobody else's business, and we don't want to impose ourselves, or we feel that people might be offended? Or is it perhaps because we never thought about how to explain to somebody who hasn't got a faith what it means to us in a way that it makes sense to them? I think for me that is probably the main reason. I really value my faith, and I'm enthusiastic about it. But it's sometimes difficult, isn't it, to put it into words and share an inner experience that is very private with strangers. So I've set myself a little task for these Easter holidays. And that is, I want to actually spend a bit of time to think about what I believe and why. I might write down a few things, actually. And if somebody asks me, or it comes up in a conversation, I want to be equipped. I want to be able to say why I am a Christian and what it means to me. The Apostle Paul encourages us and says you should always be ready to give an account of the hope that is within you. And I think it probably is worth spending a couple of hours to just get some clarity for myself, so I know what I'm talking about. And I wonder whether you would join me on that. Maybe you can find an hour or two, if you've got a faith, and write down what is important to you about it. What is it that you actually believe and why? And if somebody asks you, it comes up in a conversation, in a family meeting, or with friends, or a neighbor, then you might be able to tell them, and who knows, they might actually find it quite attractive and ask more questions and might actually want to have what you have too. May God help us to do that, to be missionaries in our own little surroundings. Have a good week.